continue our lesson over circumference, diameter, and radius. Let's go over our do now. Radius AB is 5 centimeters long. That's from here to here, 5 centimeters. Find the length of the diameter BD. They want us to find the length from here to here. All right, so what do you know about? Well, 2 radius makes a diameter. So radius is half of a diameter. Our diameter is double the length of a radius. So if this is the radius, then this is a radius. If this is 5 centimeters, then this must be 5 centimeters. And if this is 5 centimeters, this must be 5 centimeters. So the length from B to D is 10 centimeters. 10 centimeters. All right, let's continue our lesson. So, before we continue, what do you remember about RDC? So we have RD. Let's write it, I guess right here. R, D, and C. What do each one of these variable or mnemonic device, whatever you want to call it, represent? R stands for radius, D stands for diameter, C stands for circumference. To turn a radius to a diameter, you double it. To find the circumference from a diameter, you multiply by 3.14 or 3. Because remember, 3 diameters make a circumference. You take the length of the diameter and you triple it and add 0.14, it will make circumference. But what if you have to go backward and break it down? Build it. To break it down from circumference to a diameter, you divide by 3.14 or pi or 3 if you want to estimate. And to turn a diameter to a radius, you divide by 2 because remember, you have a diameter, you cut it in half. So, for example, here's a diameter, and you cut it. So let's start here. Here's a radius. If you double it by multiply by 2, it becomes a diameter. And then diameter, you take 3 of them, 3.14, it makes a circumference. If you have a circumference, a diameter is a third of it, or divide by 3.14. And here's a diameter, and if you cut it in half, or divide it by 2, you get the radius. So let's go through each one. So we have a word card, equation card. Equation, 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 equation. Again, the equation, it has an equal sign in it, and then you have word problem. So let's see. This is a radius, so I know to do a radius is 2 pi r. So it'll be 2 pi, the radius is 2 pi, and that goes here. This is a radius, is 2 pi r, so it's 2 pi 3, that'll be this one. This is a diameter, so it's pi d, so it's pi 5. And this is diameter, pi 3. That was a junk information. So circumference is approximately equal to 6 centimeters times 3. 6 centimeters times 3. Let's see. Oh, 2 times 3 is 6 times 3. Then it'll be that one. The circumference is approximately equal to 3 times 3. Pi, we're estimating, is 3. 3 times 3 is that one. The circumference is approximately equal to 5 centimeters times 3. That would be right here because 5 times pi is 3. The circumference is approximately equal to 3 times 10. We're looking here 4. So circumference is approximately equal to 3 times 4. And that is how to do it with these equation cards. And so again, you don't have to memorize it. These are given on your 7th grade reference chart, which you do have. C equals pi d, C equals 2 pi r. So what do each one again? Pi, d stands for diameter. To find the circumference, you multiply the diameter by 3.14. It's right here. And to find the circumference using radius, you multiply by 2, then you multiply by 3.14, and you get a circumference. So let's take what we know. The circumference of a lampshade is 48 inches. Which expression can be used to find the diameter? So what formula is diameter? C equals pi d. So the circumference is 48 inches. I would like to find the diameter, pi D. So RDC. I like using this. I just learned it this year from Katie. I like this. To turn a radius to diameter, you multiply by 2. To turn a diameter to circumference, you multiply by 3.14. To break it down, you divide by 3.14. Break it down, you divide by 2. So they want us to find the diameter from circumference. So if I know the circumference and I want to go to diameter, I must divide by 3.14. T. So I have this diameter. So I need to divide it. So remember, this is multiply. What's the opposite operation of multiply? Divide. Divide by pi. Divide by pi. So what happens here? This cancels out. So you have D, and you have 48 divided by pi. But which one of these shows 48 divided by pi? A is the answer. A is the answer. Next one. A circular puzzle has a circumference of about 50 inches. Circumference is about 50 inches. Which expression can be used to find the radius? C equals 2 pi r. We said the circumference is 50 equals 2 pi r. I need to find a radius. So I need to find a radius. So let's go back to our RDC. So I know the circumference, and I need to go back to the radius. So I need to break it down, and I need to break it out. So I need to divide by 3.14 t, which is a third. Remember, diameter is about a third of circumference. And then a radius is half of a diameter, so I need to divide by 2. So in other words, here's the radius. I need to get rid of these two. I need to get rid of the coefficient. I need to get rid of this variable pi. So I need to move it. So remember, this is multiply. What operation is the inverse or opposite of multiply? Divide. So divide by 2, divide by pi. So I must do it on this side. Divide by 2, divide by pi. This cancel, what I've left, radius. So we have 50 divide by 2, divide by pi. So which one should that? 50 divided by B. 50 divided by 2 and divide by pi. So B is the answer. Next one. A bicycle wheel has a circumference of 60. Find approximate diameter. C equals pi d. So we know the circumference is 60 equals pi d. I want to find this diameter. I need to get rid of this pi. What operation is the opposite of it? Divide by pi, divide by pi. This cancels out. You have d. So you have 60 divided by pi, and it's b. Let's go back to RDC if you don't really believe me here. To turn a circumference back to a diameter, you have to break it down by dividing by 3.14. 60 divided by 3.14. And last but not least, there's a girl named Lundy, or Mr. Oh yeah, I remember her. I used to teach a girl named Lundy. Lundy wants to sew lace around her circular pillow. She knows the circumference. She wants to find the radius. So C equals 2 pi r. She wants to find the radius. So what's the operation? It's the opposite or inverse of multiply. Divide by 2, divide by pi, divide by 2, divide by pi. Cancel, cancel, you have radius. So we have C divided by 2, divided by pi. So not A, not B. Divide the circumference by 2 and pi. C is the answer. Let's go back to RDC if you don't really believe me. To break it down from circumference to radius, you divide by 3.14 or pi, divide by 2. And that is pretty much it. So what we mostly talked about here is you have RDC. Please use it to help you out. RDC is you have a radius. To turn it to a diameter, you have to double its length. Once you know the radius, and then you are given the diameter by doubling it, you can find the circumference. Remember, a circumference is about 3.114. It wraps around 3 times. 3 length of the diameter is circumference. And then you could go backward. So what happens if they give you the circumference? Remember, a diameter is about a third of it. So we divide by 3 or 3.14. And then to turn a diameter to a radius, you divide it into 2. and then you have the radius. So RDC. Also, again, you don't have to memorize your formulas. It does help. And if you do not like RDC, I mean, this is the first time I've ever learned it, I do like my formulas right here. C equals pi d, C equals 2 pi r. If you are given the diameter and you have to find circumference, you just multiply the diameter by pi and you'll get the circumference. If you're given the radius and you need to find the circumference or the distance around the shape, you multiply the radius, the pi, and a 2, and then you get the circumference. However, what if you are given the circumference and they ask you to find diameter? So you need to divide both sides by pi. So to find the diameter, you do circumference divided by pi. See right here, circumference to diameter, you divide by pi. You're breaking it down. And if whenever you're given the circumference, and they ask you, find the radius. So I need to get rid of these. So what operation is opposite multiply? The inverse is divide. So I divide both sides by 2 and pi. So circumference divided by 2 pi. Again, look up here. To break it down for circumference to radius, you divide by pi, divide by 2. And that is all about circles.